You're committed to global change. It's more than just selling a course or filling a program. It's that you believe in creating a shift in the world and you've got a fresh perspective that can achieve that. Your innovation is needed, but there's no blueprint for how you go from innovative thinking, where you're looking at things in a brand new way, to thought leadership, where the industry and the world recognizes you and your new way of thinking, where you meet the ranks of thought leaders like Tony Robbins, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mel Robbins. The list goes on and on. But what if there was a way, a more tangible approach that allowed you to be seen and heard as a thought leader, where you can share your insights in a way where it affects real global change? But the reality is, balancing never ending to do lists with trying to make space for the deep work and creative thinking that thought leadership requires can be a struggle, unless you have a pathway that sets you up to focus on the right things to ensure your thought leadership is being seen and heard without spending decades to achieve that. And that's what today's episode is all about. Now, hey, and welcome back to the Business Real Talk. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 keys to being seen and heard as a thought leader. Listen, thought leadership has become a marketing buzzword, something that people use as a new way of saying attention seeking is the answer to success. I want to clear the air before we jump into this and be clear that when we're talking about thought leadership, this isn't from the marketing perspective. This isn't just about how can I talk more and be seen more and do the things that make me look like I'm important while not actually doing anything that actually warrants you becoming a thought leader. So let me clear the air early on that this isn't an episode about faking thought leadership for the sake of getting attention or pushing your business to higher revenue. Those are all great side effects that have absolutely nothing to do with what we're after here today. So, hustling for social media eyeballs and attention isn't the answer. You already know that. This is so much bigger. Now, Forbes said it beautifully in their article when they shared being a thought leader is about more than profits or even industry status. It's about being authentic and empowering. It's about influence, getting other people to think differently about something specific. It's much more than just generating content and commenting on world events and trends. Thought leaders bring alternate views and insightful points to the table. Now, we're talking about real thought leadership, the kind that brings about change, where we see the world in a different way than others do, and we bring that vision to the world in a way that they can understand, where they can finally feel like it all makes sense. And the answer up until now has been how? How do you, as an expert in your field, as an innovative thinker, how do you bring your beliefs, your thought leadership into the world stage and actually be seen, heard, and recognized for your thinking? Now, a common belief has been in amplification of your message, running ads, hiring PR, writing a book, getting on stages. And while that can be true, those things won't actually catapult you into thought leadership without having certain things in place first. And it sure as heck doesn't start there. It starts with understanding the phases of thought leadership that drive change and allow you to be seen and heard without spending decades to get there. Now, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. That's a famous quote from John C. Maxwell. And those 3 things are exactly what defines the phases of thought leadership. It starts with deep rooted insights and then goes to expert information and finally acknowledgement of your leadership. Now, insights can't be bought. It's the difference between a great marketer who can speak circles around someone and someone who has deep insights into a particular topic. It can't be manufactured. It's not built by AI. It's intentional. It's hours, months, years spent in the trenches learning and unlearning to gain a deeper understanding than 98% of the world. Your mastery isn't surface level. It's ingrained in your DNA. Without these deep rooted insights, thought leadership becomes a ruse. A fight for being the loudest person in the industry, that's not what we're after. Because in order to be a thought leader, you must have leading thoughts. And that comes from creating insights that are unique and innovative. Next is when we actually take those deep rooted insights and they begin to take shape. You go from being the student to being the student and the teacher. You aren't just parroting the beliefs of others as your own, you're formulating your own beliefs, building your own perspective. You're speaking deeply about the concepts and ideas that many others either haven't seen or just can't see the way that you have. Because thought leadership isn't how you see or speak of yourself. it's how others perceive you. You have to have a meaningful impact on your industry and those who follow it. This is why it's about turning those deep rooted insights into expert information that others can experience and hear and think, I've never thought about it this way. It finally makes sense. You make the complicated, complex, or unknown understood and accepted, which leads to phase three. Acceptance and recognition as a thought leader. This is where the fun begins, where your insights are being shared, your expertise is being sought out and accepted. Your voice is echoing into your industry and those associated with it, and even into the world. You are leading conversations and an evolution and revolution of change. So now the question becomes, how do we take these phases of thought leadership and tangibly bring them to life? Now, 10 years ago, I would have said, I have no idea. Heck, I was struggling. I was a nobody in the online space. 20 years in marketing and working with billion-dollar corporations on massive marketing efforts that drove real results like $10 million in new revenue and taking over mass markets. Yet I was unseen and unknown. In my own business, I was drowning. I had come into this business with such big dreams, a mission for changing the world, but all of that was quickly overshadowed by the need to market myself, to stay relevant, to show up over and over again. And at that point, if you had asked me what my thought leadership was, what innovative thinking I was bringing to the table, I would have looked at you like a deer in headlights. I had no idea. And honestly, my passion and drive for affecting change was fading fast. I felt myself becoming a chameleon, lost in the Red Sea of sameness, just trying to be heard. See, thought leaders don't just wake up one day and decide to become thought leaders. It's something that burns within us, like a nagging feeling or a thought that just won't go away. And there's an epiphany moment where we experience where there's so much more to what our gifts are. For me, it was a series of events, from a client crying on a call telling me that our work together in 30 days had brought together 15 years of thinking and expertise, to being told no over and over and over again, and hearing that I just needed to sit down and shut up and follow what was working from the gurus, knowing full well that the world needed more, to watch the world around me praising the loudest person instead of the boldest thinkers. I was fed up. I wanted change and I was tired of waiting for it. So I created it. I spent years obsessing over innovation. I stopped consuming online gurus and started thinking deeply about what it meant to confidently make decisions. I watched what companies like Target, Amazon, and the likes were doing to stay on top. And then I got to work. This is where the easiest method was born for me, off decades of marketing, from years of obsessing over the human mind, over watching countless episodes of How It's Made as a child, from failing miserably as a self-proclaimed bad salesperson, gaining the insights that formed one single belief. I didn't want to sell people. I wanted them to sell themselves. That single belief was all I needed to begin formulating and developing a method that would make that a reality. That's where it starts. A singular belief, something so irrational, so unacceptable, it breaks the mold. It turns heads. It makes people turn up their nose and squint their eyes as they question your way of thinking. And it all starts with that singular belief. So my question to you is this: what is the singular big belief that you have that most people don't understand or can't see? Your driving belief that captains the ship of everything you do. Understanding this will begin to give shape to your own thought leadership. Now, on to the good stuff, the 5 steps that we talked about, the tangible, actionable steps that damn near guarantee your ability to bring your big belief to the world. So here we go. Number 1, listening, understanding the market, understanding people, understanding the unmet needs. Number 2, seeing opportunities, aka identifying the gap. Number 3, defining your innovative solution. Number 4, innovation resonance, articulating your innovation in a way that's easily understood. And number 5, repetition and amplification. So let's jump into number 1. Market and competitive research that highlights the unmet needs that your market desires is the driving force behind thought leadership. It's only from this understanding of people, their desires, the market, competitors, and identifying unmet needs that we can actually see the potential for opportunity. Netflix understood that people were tired of paying late fees for video rentals. Cirque du Soleil understood that the circus was a dying art that had lost its allure. Amazon understood that getting books in the eyes and ears of millions needed a better approach. These are all people who took the time to understand the market, people, the landscape, and saw the unmet needs that lead them to step number 2. seeing the opportunities. It's through that listening and that insight that you identify where those opportunities lie. I call this identifying the gap. So for Netflix, they understood the gap was finding a way to eliminate late fees. This is the singular belief that we operate with in our development of our solution. For me, it was that we could stop selling leads and get leads to sell themselves. The intent for this is for us to clearly draw a line in the sand that marries the research of unmet needs with a new belief. This is where thought leadership is born. Most people will be doing this naturally without even realizing it. This can be dangerous because we could be operating with the belief that this is a common belief or a common understanding, which actually keeps you as the best kept secret because you haven't actually owned this belief. Oftentimes, it's born out of necessity, either from your own experiences or the experience of others that are around them. You naturally see this opportunity in doing things differently, but you don't always fully accept it, and it may go unnoticed as thought leadership for years. Now, the next step is defining your innovative approach and thinking. The truth is, people will rarely make it to step three. That's the reality. They'll either get lost in step one, consumption of education. They either let imposter syndrome take over, telling themselves that there's already so much great information that's good enough that they believe that they can't actually operate against it, or they can't think strategically. So they're not seeing the opportunity and it falls to the wayside and they accept playing small. In step three is what often takes years, if not decades, for people to bring to life. Why? Because they're often too close to it. It's like trying to see that label from inside the bottle. We struggle to see our own innovation. And most thought leaders spend decades attempting to truly define their innovative thinking. Nonetheless, trying to figure out how to articulate it in a way that's easily and readily understood without them needing to spend hours or countless pages trying to get it across. So oftentimes we rely on testimonials or marketing to help showcase our innovation, and things like PR, ads, writing a book, etc., are all done in an attempt to bring that innovation out. It's what leaves business owners knowing that their work is life-changing, but struggling to explain how they actually do it. They call themselves unicorns and just keep showing up, knowing if people could just experience their work, they'd understand the massive shift. Now, communicating this level of thought leadership is where the hard work starts. But when you can do this, you command a room and an industry, and they see you as the go-to expert. Now, finally, it's about amplifying and repeating that belief and method to the world. This is everything that the Easy Yes method does. It's a thought leadership catapult, a refined and proven system that takes all 5 of those steps and brings them together. It's how my clients go from relatively unknown experts to thought leaders in their space within a matter of a year. It starts by winning their market and developing their innovative advantage. This is where we actually help fast moving innovators cut through the noise and formulate their thought leadership by developing their own innovative gap methodology. We'll strategically identify those market gaps that your competitors can't fill, and we'll develop your own innovative methodology that specifically articulates and amplifies your innovative advantage. So you can take your role as the known and recognized thought leader, all while targeting high intent clients, so you become in demand and unmatched solution. So it's not about giving up one thing to get the other. You don't have to be someone who's putting all of their time and effort into creative thinking without running a successful business. You can have both. It's about marrying the ability to be able to quickly and easily understand what your innovation is, where that innovation gap methodology lies, and then creating the messaging that allows you to articulate that. Because when we determine that innovation and your disruptive point of view and a repeatable messaging system, that's where we're actually able to take everything that you've culminated together and understanding those deep-rooted insights, putting that into the expert information, and then having a way to amplify that over and over and over again. Now, this is your rise to the top of the industry as an innovator. Now, once you've established yourself as a thought leader, it's time to amplify that message to the world in a bigger way. We do this through our bingeable sales system. Your future billion-dollar brand understands that you are not your sales system. You cannot continue in your thought leadership and expand on the beliefs and thinking that you have without having the time and space for you to be able to have a way for people to become indoctrinated into your work, for them to understand the power behind your methodology, and ultimately sign on to work with you. If you're spending all of your time on your marketing and selling process, you're not going to have the space to expand that thought leadership. Our bingeable sales system automates those high ticket conversions so leads can sell themselves using the Netflix effect. This is where you say hello to financial freedom and pre-sold clients. And finally, it's about changing the world. Transformational businesses and experts have world-class reputations that stand the test of time. They build the success infrastructures that ensure their clients will get results at scale. This is the magic behind our pure profit strategies that turn clients into raving fans who become your most enthusiastic sales team and stay with you for years to come. There is a reason I'm so obsessed with the EasyS method, because it truly is where your thought leadership is born, where you bring to life those innovative ways of thinking, where you formulate a pathway that allows you to actually bring it into the world and be seen and heard as the thought leader that you are. So, the next step for you after hearing this episode is I want you to take a step back and ask yourself, how can I put these things in place to become a thought leader? And if you know without a shadow of a doubt that you want this, you want to become the thought leader, you want to be able to get your thought leadership heard and seen, you already are the thought leader, you're already doing the things necessary on the back end, but you're tired of trying to fight for a space and a way to allow others to hear that, I want to invite you to the next step. That's booking a call directly with me. And on this call, what you and I will do is we'll talk about what your current process looks like. We'll look at where your innovation lies, how you're communicating that to the world, and I'll show you exactly how and where the EasyS method can be applied. Now, keep this simple. I will only share with you if I believe that I can support you in doing this. I'll share with you what those next steps look like. So if you're ready to take that next step to bring your thought leadership to the masses and allow that change within the world, head on over to easysleads.com/call to book your call right now. But if you are new around here, first of all, welcome, or you just want to learn a little bit more about how the EasyS method works, then I want to invite you to check out our free bingeable mini series so you can learn the 3 steps to getting leads to sell themselves and the power behind using the Netflix effect. As always, we love and appreciate your feedback by taking just a quick second out of your busy day to rate and subscribe to the Business Real Talk podcast and sharing it with a friend. This helps us intentionally support experts being able to change the world. But until next time, here's to keeping it real.